What is up, guys? RegalGamer here, bringing you episode number 1 of my new series, RegalGamer Talks. In this series, I'm going to be going over all stuff gaming related, topics, debates, upcoming gaming news, all that stuff. I'm going to give you my opinions in this stuff because this is really what I've wanted to do for a while. I want to wait to voice my opinion on games a little bit more than just my top 5 lists. So I'm really excited to do this, guys. Massive thanks for checking it out. If you do like it, be sure to hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more gaming content. Leave a comment down below if you want to let me know what I should talk about next. And without further ado, let's get to this. What is better, Japanese role-playing games or Western role-playing games? Obviously, role-playing games, guys, massively great genre. In my opinion, it's the greatest genre in all video games. Alright, so let's start with the Japanese role-playing games, guys. In the early 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, even in the 80s a little bit, the JRPGs absolutely dominated. We look at series like Final Fantasy, Lunar. They didn't make many games for Lunar, but absolutely amazing series. Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, Super Mario RPG, Phantasy Star, Persona. I mean, there were so many great JRPGs in this time. And the reason I think they really worked well during this time period is because they focused solely on the story and the character development. And this was a time when the graphics really weren't nearly on par with what they are today. So they really did an unbelievable job at this time. I think they had a massive advantage during this time period. Recently, they haven't had too many great JRPGs. The only one that I've played really recently that's been good was Ni no Kuni. I'm looking to get in more though. Go back to some more of the Final Fantasy games. Go back to some more of the Persona games. But I've kind of lost a little bit of interest since the early '90s ones, late '90s ones, excuse me. But yeah, JRPGs, I mean, they're so good for the story. Where they fall behind Western RPGs, in my opinion, is the battle system. A lot of people do love the JRPGs and the tactics and that kind of battle system. I prefer the Western battle system. But like I said, JRPGs, man, their story is top notch. I mean, you can't get that really. And back in the day, you couldn't get that in any other genre. So that's really what put JRPGs over the top for me back in the late '90s, early 2000s. Because for me, I'm a story gamer. I love stories. A lot of people love like these Call of Duty games like that. They're just shooting and stuff like that. But I want a story in my game. I think that's what makes games great. Because in my opinion, games are like our modern day books, our modern day movies, where we get our stories through video games. And I want a great video games. I want a great story in my video games. So Western RPGs. Western RPGs really came to prominence for me in the early 2000s with the PlayStation 2, with the original Xbox, even with the GameCube. I think what led to their rise was the improved graphics on gaming systems. With the new gaming systems, they could really do a lot better games with graphics. So games like Morrowind at the time, Fable, KOTOR. Games like this started rising up. Jade Empire, great games, started rising up, and they were able to do the stories well and have great combat systems, or at least combat systems that I like. So they really took the genre to the next level, where they combined a lot of the great things that the JRPGs traditionally had, like those great stories, like the great characters, and then they put it in with a better combat system. So I think they took a little bit of a lead right there at that point. And then obviously it improved when you had Fallout series coming out, when you had the later Elder Scrolls like Oblivion and Skyrim, because as good as Morrowind was, Oblivion and Skyrim, they took it to the next level. And then to go along with that, then you had Mass Effect coming out, which Mass Effect is my favorite game of all time, favorite game series of all time. So what Western RPGs can do is that they can provide, like I said, they can provide that great story that the JRPGs were known for, and then also have a great combat system. Now the problem I have with Western RPGs isn't so much with Western RPGs, it's that when they get big, a lot of times the publishers will switch the game over. So they won't even be an RPG anymore, so it'll be like an action game. And for me, the best example of this was the Mass Effect. Like I said, I loved the Mass Effect so much, the first one. And then for Mass Effect 2 and 3, the game basically became a first-person shooter, a third-person shooter. It was a completely different game. Even the ending of Mass Effect 3, where the choices didn't even mean anything. That's so typical of just games that they're trying to pander to the mass audience rather than keeping the game the way it was, what made it popular in the first place. So I think that can be the downfall of the WRPGs, is that is that the publishers sometimes will try to expand the games into other genres that they shouldn't be. And I mean that's it. But I mean Western RPGs, they can be done so well nowadays with the story, with the gameplay controls. So they are definitely a great genre. So which is better, JRPGs or WRPGs? In my opinion, up until about 2001, hands down, it's JRPGs. Games like Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, Chrono Cross, Luna, Rhapsody, Ogre Battle. I mean, so many great ones up until that point. After that, from like say 2001 to 2000 and maybe 10, 12, it's hands down WRPGs. Games like Fallout, Mass Effect, Elder Scrolls, absolutely amazing games. They can't be rivaled. Now, after that point, there's been a massive fall off with JRPGs and WRPGs actually, RPGs in general. And I think the reason for this is that these games take so long to develop. There's so much voice acting. There's so much that goes into these games. And right now, publishers, they want to produce games that are simple. They know a lot of people are going to play. It's going to make them a lot of money. And I mean, you can't blame them for that because it is a business, but it's really making the genre suffer. It really is. There hasn't been a new series that I've liked in a while. I mean, I think the newest series I've liked maybe Dragon Age. I mean, and that was maybe 6-7 years ago. I don't even know when that was, but I mean that's probably the last RPG that I've really liked. RPG series that I've really liked. It's a shame. Hopefully Mass Effect Andromeda comes out and it kind of goes back that way. I know you got Persona 5 coming out too, so hopefully that can spark the series, the genre back up. But for the future of the genre, I don't think it's gonna. It doesn't look good for me, to be honest with you. I think there's just too much development time. I think there's too much risk. There's not a big enough fan base, and like I said, with the WRPGs, they just make them more of shooters now, or they make them more action games rather than RPGs. I mean, it makes sense from their standpoint, but unfortunately for all this RPG levels, I think the best RPGs that we're ever gonna see have already come. I mean, I really do. If you have opinions, leave them. But I definitely think this is a dying genre, and it's a shame because it's my favorite genre. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments.